Well, guys, happy Monday. And in light of what Sam was just sharing today, we're going to talk about part 6 of our series. And this is a really loaded one. There's a lot of really important pieces here that I want to share with you guys. And thanks, Luis, for helping me to do a lot of the research as well, so that we could really have a really robust session here. I really believe this is one of the biggest opportunities for us to get better and improve. And I do believe that the team members that are really focused on increasing their value are going to use this particular session as one of their main focuses this year. And I do believe that if we all commit to that, it'll take us to the next level. Now, I want to start this session with a little story. We have a lot of adults here that don't necessarily play video games, except maybe Javier's an expert still at that from back then. I was reading through some stories of some exceptional pieces that have happened, and this one actually stuck out to me. And so I'd like to kick it off with that. So there's this this young man who's got a son, and unfortunately, this child of his was pretty ill. He had to get basically a kidney transplant, and so all year round they're waiting and they're praying and expecting something to happen. Well, long story short, right before Christmas, they actually get the call, and so for the Christmas release, his son, one of his biggest wishes was to get the new updated game of Halo. All I really know is the name Halo. I've never actually played it, but apparently it's really popular. And obviously that product gets sold quickly. And so long story short, the father obviously goes to the hospital with his son, and he's just kind of distressed because now he's got to be there with his son and he can't go out to get the game. So he tried to reach out on his computer to them directly and said, hey, look, my son is having a kidney transplant, and I really can't get out there to get it. You know, is there anything that I could do to get it taken care of? And so what was incredible was the actual response that came out of this group. I think they really set the bar for excellence. So what they decided to do when they got this inquiry was not only to make sure that the customer had the experience because of the delays and the issues the poor kid had. It was a story that was so moving to them that their entire team got involved in making this a very special Christmas for the child. So the first thing they did is the actual entire team wrote a get well better from the actual makers of Halo. And so everyone on the team signed it and actually sent him a card directly in the hospital for his son who was recovering. But then they realized, apparently this game is all about domination and right, it's like this war game. And so I love the card. It says, world domination can wait, feel better. And you see somebody in the bottom that says, do this. Right? So it's really cool. It was a very heartfelt message that went out there. But then obviously that's a nice gesture. That's a very, very nice gesture that you would not expect from a customer service angle, right? It's going above and beyond what we would think. But then they decided, look, we want to go a little further. This kid is so special and we want to encourage him to get better. So they actually sent him a custom helmet from Halo that was built out just for him. And of course, he got the game too. And it was just the amount of how powerful that experience was, because they didn't just do their job, they went above and beyond, and they stepped into a level of excellence. And I can assure you that even though they got these pictures back and it was heartwarming and it made them feel good, the impact that company had on that family and those family members, I am sure even till this day are telling that story. Would you agree? To their friends. And so it's one of those things where when we talk about what we're going to talk about today, it's not just about checking something off the list. It's about actually caring about what you do and caring about making an impact in the lives of people. And what most people don't realize is that you're in a work environment. So we get driven into the task, but what we forget is that there's people behind the task. And it's imperative that we look at our business almost like a ministry. It is a vehicle for us to make a difference in the lives of other people. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to stock up on a bunch of Halo helmets and ship them off. No, right? The whole idea behind this is just having a heartfelt desire to want to make a difference, to always go above and beyond. And that's really what we're calling everybody to here today, is let's be like the Halo team and always look for opportunities to be a blessing to those that may be in need. Now, that drives us to the main point today, which is value component number 6 is amazing customer service. Now, I want to make this point. A rigid attitude might just be the antithesis of great customer service. And I want to challenge us to this because I really believe that, especially when an organization doesn't have more than 50 employees, you feel like you're small, like you really have limited resources. But what we forget is that customer service has everything to do with the experience that you give your customer. And I'm going to share with you a couple of important pieces so that you understand some facts. And I'm going to share with you some stats that I think are critical. But before I do, I want everybody within the sound of my voice to understand that customer service is not about giving the customer everything that they want. Think about your children. If you have kids, it's not great customer service to spoil them rotten and to let them have their way, because when they complain, oh God, we got to give them a new toy. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. So customer service has nothing to do with the client always getting his way. It's about how we treat our customer. And that's really what I want to distinguish. There's going to be deals that we're working on that the client is crying because they want to do the deal. But during our vetting process, we realize that it's not a deal. And so part of our customer service experience shouldn't be to say, well, because you're upset, we want to serve you, so therefore do the deal and go bankrupt. You guys follow what I'm saying? So it's not always about giving the customer a yes for every question they have. It's about understanding the balance and having that relationship with the customer and creating that experience, which I'll talk about. Now, the reason why I think this is so important, and the reason why I believe customer service is so critical and we need to improve, especially the higher we go, and it's really born into these components here. Here's a statistic, number one, that we were researching. 90% of Americans use customer service as a factor in deciding whether to do business with a company or not. So think about that for just a moment. We're not saying that just 10% of the people make the decision based on customer service. No, 90% of the people do. And so you have to understand that having a good customer service experience is critical if you want to bring business in. Let me give you another stat that we looked at. And I can attest to you guys, this is true because we spend money in marketing. Investing in a new customer is between 5 to 25 times more expensive than retaining existing customers. So let me ask you a question. Should companies be focused more on bringing new customers or establishing deeper relationships with their existing customers? Well, obviously, I would say that it is critical for them to improve with their existing customers. Why? And later on, we'll talk about how that creates referrals, which is an even more powerful way of acquiring customers than even spending millions of dollars a year in marketing. And so again, this is yet another piece. It costs more money to bring in new people than it does to maintain a relationship with those who've already come through our doors. And that really needs to be something that is critical to each and every one of us. And the last stat that I think is interesting, and this kind of blew me away for last year's stats, over 49% of American consumers switched companies last year due to poor customer service. Think about that for just a minute. How big is that number? 49% of consumers switched to a competitor because they weren't happy with the experience that they had. Now, just imagine the millions of dollars that these big companies spent to get that customer through their door to then lose them because their people didn't take good care of them. Is that acceptable? Absolutely not. So I really believe that one of the key measures, if we want to go to the next level, is found in customer service. And if you want to add value to an organization, you should become an amazing customer service expert. It doesn't matter where you are, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Let me give you some other components that will really kind of land this point. I'm going to talk about the power of great customer service. So check this out. 73% of customers fall in love with a brand and remain loyal because of friendly customer service reps. 68% of customers said the service rep was key to a recent positive service experience. And 62% said that this was also due in part to the rep's knowledge or resourcefulness. So I want you to think about that for a minute. Those were the pieces that made the customer experience great. The next one is what? Consumers are willing to spend 17% more on a company that has outstanding customer service. So when we talk about price as customer service, price is irrelevant. If you offer a great experience, people will pay more for that experience. Think about how many times you've gone somewhere and you did the same thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to go there. I don't even care, right? It's not that you're trying to be fancier than someone. It's because if you're going to spend money, you want to spend money on what? The service. That's what you're going there for, is you want to have a good experience. And so I want us to start thinking, as I share the rest of this presentation, How are you contributing to the service of our company so that the customers have a good experience? The next one, 77% of customers would recommend a brand to a friend after having a single positive experience. 77%. Here's another one. 93% of customers are likely to make repeat purchases with companies who offer excellent customer service. So think about that for just a minute. 93%. And you know what's interesting? When you really look at our business and what we do, over the last few years, our average client was actually doing about 4 deals a year with us. And so that confirms that if we take care of our clients and we offer a good product and we have good, excellent service, that we can anticipate having that relationship continue to come back to us. And again, that's a challenge. Now let's take a look at the not so good news that I want us to really consider here. So let's take a look at this. The number one reason customers switch to a new brand is feeling unappreciated. 50% of customers have left a brand for a competitor who was able to stay more relevant and better satisfy their needs. It takes 12 positive customer experiences to make up for one negative experience. Think about that for just a minute. It's like a snowball effect. And so what we need to do with some of those experiences that we've dropped the ball on, now we need to be considering what can we do to create that experience. We're going to have to work, because on average, 12 positive customer experiences are what it takes to fix just one negative. That just shows the power of how quickly we could drop the ball and hurt our brand. And so this is why I want us to understand how important this is. And then lastly, 78% of customers have backed out of a purchase due to a poor customer experience, like flat out backed out of the transaction. And so if you can see within this screen here, guys, you have this incredible, powerful statistic that tells us how many people would refer clients to us, how many people would continue doing business with us. And then on the right side, you have this one little thing that says, hey, if I'm not happy with your service, if you mistreat me or make me feel like I'm not appreciated and I leave, all this work that we started with is for nothing. And so that's one of the things that I want us to become aware of, because a lot of times if we drop the ball, it's because we're not even aware of it. I don't think anybody says, today I'm going to come to the office and I'm going to ruin the future of our company, right? Nobody comes with a negative intent. But realistically, think about the experience component for just 1 second as I go into this. You guys have been to a place, whether it's a restaurant or whether it's in a store, where someone made you feel special, somebody made you feel appreciated, and you ended up doing business with that company. But you've also been to a place that you literally got up and walked out. Because I know I've had several in the past that I went to a store, and just because of the location, it was convenient. We got there, the service was horrendous. We literally just got up and left. And do you think I'm going to go back? No. And guess what? For whatever reason, I tell people about that place of how bad it was, right? So am I a positive reinforcement for this? Yeah, you can see that if I'm a customer, I expect great. So why wouldn't we expect the same from customers looking at us? So that's really what I want us to do, is become aware. So now, what's the difference? Most people say, well, what does it mean to have customer service versus a customer experience? And I really want to connect these pieces. So the first thing I want to talk about is customer service itself. All right. So customer service is the assistance and advance provided to a customer for your product or service as needed. This requires the customer-facing team to possess a particular set of skills, including patience, product knowledge, and tenacity to provide answers and assistance to a client. That's really, in essence, what customer service is. Now let's take a look at what customer experience is. Customer experience refers to the broader customer journey across the organization and includes every interaction between the customer and the business. This involves all of the ways your customer interacts with the organization. Every department, even your location, creates the experience for your client. So when you think about customer service from a perspective, I think a lot of people drop the ball in that they believe that customer service is a representative. Most people think that you hire a customer service representative to do all those things, but I don't need to do this because my department does this. And the reality is, if you really take a look at the customer experience, it's about the entire team working together, serving the customer, right? in such a way with respect and dignity and value that the customer feels the experience throughout the entire journey of the business. That is when you have a real powerful experience. Now, I'll give you another thing that was really interesting. I was looking at some other companies also in the past that have just created a brand that is just service-driven and an experience-driven location. Obviously, we know Chick-fil-A is yet another fast food brand, but it doesn't matter if I go to a cook who's in the back or whatever, and I talk to them, they all are consistent, right? Because that's what they're going for in the organization. Everyone is there to serve the customer, and that they've done a really good job, not only at branding, but creating a clean, safe environment for you to want to go and visit. There's other big companies too that were dealing with retail. And what they found is they were spending millions of dollars a year and trying to create this experience that even the location they invested in had specific colors, and they laid out the place in a different way because based on studies, they found that the clients coming in would feel better. They would have peace. So they were harmonizing their entire space because they believed the space and their staff represented the full customer experience. So they went above and beyond so that people want to go in. And think about some of those shops in New York where they have all these incredible, beautiful window displays. What is that there for? It's to create an experience for the customer. So again, this further confirms that the customer experience is truly the entire journey across working with your customer. And obviously, I'll talk later about even our office, what we're doing right now, little by little to improve the building. It's also so that it matches and reflects our service to our clients. So it gives people a peace of mind that they're dealing with a real legitimate organization that cares about their money, that cares about taking care of them, helping them grow. So customer service versus customer experience is basically very simple. The key difference is that customer experience involves the whole journey, including the customer service. All team members serve a key role in the customer experience. And that's really what I want you to understand is that if you want to add value, yes, you have to have product knowledge. You have to learn what we're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing, how could you be an advocate if you can't even answer a basic question, right? So yes, there's a level of growth that we'll talk about. But at the end of the day, what I really want to highlight for each and every one of you is you matter to the customer experience. Now, I want you to visualize this and think about, you probably have had this because I'm sure most of us have. You walk into a place, doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or retail shop, but I've seen this more in restaurants, unfortunately. You get into this really nice area, you walk in, and the host has a stained shirt. It's gross, it's dirty, right? And they're kind of walking you to the seat. They're not even looking at you. They grab this, at this point, looks dirty menu, and they start walking you to your seat, and they're just now cleaning your table, and you see that nasty rag that has not been cleaned or they've used all day long, but they haven't washed. How confident do you feel sitting down on that table? Like you almost just want to walk out. It feels gross. It feels nasty. That person's not even well taken care of. But how many times have you been to a nice restaurant and they're dressed professionally? They greet you, they walk you to your table. They even lay out the scarf, right? They take care of you so you feel like service. Do you want to be in that place? Yes, because the experience, the ambiance there is professional. So in the same way, we need to consider ourselves and say, am I projecting a positive relationship with my customer when they come in? Can they trust me? Or when they come in, are they going, am I in the right place? Because that's really the kind of level of standard we need to come up on, because we all represent the company and we all represent the customer experience journey. And it is imperative that we all are united to do that. So now I'm going to give you a visual of some statistics here that I found was really interesting. So why companies should invest in their customer experience, and in some cases, even more than they do in their marketing. So check this out. We'll start with the actual value add here. So a good experience literally grabs customers. Bad experiences push them away, as we know. But it's not in proportion. And this is what I want to share with you. So if you look at this, 40% of people began purchasing from a competitive brand because of its reputation for great customer service. So 40%. But now let's look at the negative. 82% of people have stopped doing business with a company due to bad customer service. So just think about that perspective. So it's not a one-to-one. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. So we have to work harder in order to maintain a good customer service, because it is that much easier to lose that customer for bad customer service. And that percentage is literally double what we would expect. Okay. Now take a look at this. 55%, minimum of 55% are willing to recommend a company due to outstanding service, more so than product or price. That's 55%. But now contrast to this, 95% of customers have taken action as a result of bad experience. Of those, 79% told others about their experience. And that's what I was just talking about earlier. So it's not a one-to-one. It's not like, hey, it's okay. If we screw up once, it's the same. We'll just work a little harder and no big deal. No, look at the numbers are drastically different on each component. The negative always seems to outweigh the good. And that's the reason why we have to be committed to always performing with excellence, to always making sure that we respect one another and that we respect the client. Because you'll be amazed how many times it's even in our interactions with each other that the customer gets a real picture of who we are. And so this is why, guys, it is so imperative for us to really focus on making sure that we are advocates of good customer service and great experience. Now let's take a look at this. 85% would pay up to 25% or more to ensure a superior customer service experience. So those that cry about pricing, it's not about pricing. It really is about how you treat a customer. Remember, when somebody buys, even in our real estate investment space, are they buying solely on numbers? No, they are human beings with emotions. If they feel valued, they will spend their money. If they don't feel valued, they'll find somewhere else to spend their money. And if they don't like what you've done, they'll tell 10, 15, 20 other people about your experience because you mistreated them according to their perception of what the standard should look like. So again, I'm not saying we're going to be pushovers, because also pushovers put their customers in a bad situation as well. But what we are asking is for a standard of excellence, that we respect each other and we respect our clients. Now, I'm going to leave it to this 3 things here. So these are the top reasons why customers switch brands. The very first one, check this out. It says interaction with a rude employee. That is the #1 top reason why customers decide to switch brands. They experience a rude employee. How many of you guys have actually been in that situation where somebody was so rude, so disrespectful that you try to go to a manager or somewhere just to fix the problem and then you're out? That is how important that is, guys. So the reality is, if you really want to go to the next level, and we all do, I think everybody here would agree, then it cannot be tolerated that we are rude to our customers or to each other. And that's the standard that we have to hold. And that's what I'm challenging each and every one of you to see, because not because I don't like you, but because the statistics don't lie. They clearly paint that this is what hurts our customers. So if you are in any way hurting the customer relationship, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your team, and you become a liability. You're not an asset any longer. And again, this is a really important piece. Now let's take a look at the other one, unexpected charge or fee. Think about how many times if you go to buy something, next thing you know, there's something else that wasn't expected. You feel what? Distrust. This person told me this, and then they did that. And this is why in our sales team, it's so important for us to always be clear and set the right expectations, because then later on, you might be called a liar, and before you know it, that customer leaves. That's yet another standard that we want to be very clear about. We don't just change things up. We give the exact number and we try to stick to it. If there's something that's going to change, we bring it up to them and explain why and make sure they have buy-in before we proceed. Otherwise, basically, they'll switch and they'll never come back. And the last piece, again, these are in the top 3, poor quality of product or service. Well, in this case, guys, we're not selling cookies and we're not selling little boxes, right, that we can make sure that they are perfect. What we're selling is money. What we're selling is investment opportunities. And so it is really hard for us to measure what that is other than a return, right, a rate of return, or also how we make the customer feel. Do they feel safe? Do they feel heard? Are we taking care of that relationship? Those are the key things, guys, that we want to do. So again, reiterating the fact that we want to constantly overcompensate on the good, because we recognize that the bad has such a much bigger impact. It's amplified almost by double of what good does. And that's the thing that I want us to remember. Alrighty, so what are we doing at HIS to improve? And I'm going to break this down primarily into 5 key things. First and foremost is training. In fact, today is training. And also having constant team trainings are geared specifically to educate you. They're not there just to bore you, right? Or to place a time for the week. They're here to invest in you, to empower you, to educate you, to teach you about our products, our services, our timelines, anything that's changing, so that you can convey that to the customer, so that you can actually have a standard of excellence and really build that expectation that is correctly done. So with our sales team, and obviously with our team in general, the whole goal here with these trainings is to develop you and help you. And that's one of our proactive ways of approaching this, right? We want to make sure that everyone understands what they can do to make a difference and how they can grow. But in sales specifically, since you're kind of the forefront of the business, that's why we have so many more trainings for you. We train you on the product, procedures, timelines, again, to make sure that you start the conversation properly and you're not misquoting or misrepresenting, because then later on is that much harder for us on this side to then start working directly with the customer and still be consistent with what we're doing. The next thing is support. And I want to challenge everyone. Customer support after closing is critical. From payoffs, underwriting, processing, they all have to match the same level of service that's offered through our organization, which means that everyone is an advocate of our customer experience. And I want to challenge you guys to do that. And later on, what we may even do, just to make it simple so that people can't say, well, I don't know, is we're going to write down some of our standards. And just like we read our mission, I'm going to share it with you guys so everybody knows this is what we stand for when it comes to a customer experience. And that way we have a standard to go after. The next piece is vendors. A lot of times people say, well, it's not my fault, the valuation company or the title company or the insurance company. So there are vendors that are truly affecting us even right now. They're making the overall customer service experience more difficult for us to manage. And it's kind of out of our control. So we need to be more proactive and hold the vendors accountable to the same standards of service that we want to offer. Now, that may be including our proactive approach of finding other vendors and testing a few other ones to see if anybody can help us or be more effective instead of just sticking with the status quo, which I know we're doing right now. That also, again, doesn't just talk about valuations. We're talking about insurance companies that might have better service, better quality pricing, and of course, title companies and so forth. But if you're working with someone in our team and you recognize that you keep getting impacted by this, bring it up. Let's come up with ideas to resolve these things. So again, it's all about making sure if we have a vendor that we don't let that vendor be our crutch for why our customer experience is going to go down. Okay. The next one is technology. There's several things we're working on right now, but we're bringing in better technology to help improve our customer service experience. In fact, we just tested our digital 1003 application last week, and hopefully by middle of this week, we'll have a 1-minute video to showcase kind of the benefits of this tool so that our customers from the very beginning when they apply have an easier interface to work with. And we're going to incorporate all of our applications in that form. We're also working with our CRM to improve it, make it more simplified, and to really be able to dig into it so that we can be faster with our communication with our clients and be consistent. And the last one is branding. We're always working on improving our brand. In fact, with marketing and social media and everything else, we have a new team working in social media, and we're also trying to work on a new production team so that the quality of our content and our value continues to get better, because again, that does have an impact. And we've actually gotten great feedback already from people saying, man, this information is great. And so we want to continue to add value to our clients by using that. And we're also in the process of improving our office to elevate the standards. So when somebody comes here, they are not just impressed, but they experience that this is a real organization. So we'll show you guys a video of that, hopefully by Friday, when we see the new wall coming in as well. So again, part of that is trying to work on this together. So with that said, I'm going to end it with this quote, because I really believe this portion is so essential for us. You are an example. Whether you're a good example or not is up to you. And so that's really where I'm going to leave it, because at the end of the day, guys, you are the advocate. It's not the one next to you, it's you. The question is, are you being an example of excellence and good customer service? Or are you being an example of what we should not be doing with customer service? And so I'm going to leave it with that and open it up with any comments or questions.